Hello and welcome to the Web Methods tutorial series. In this tutorial, we will learn how to create an EDI document in Web Methods Trading Networks. Trading Networks, also commonly known as TN, gives us a B2B capability that allows us to exchange business documents with our trading partners. In the case of this tutorial, the business document we want to exchange is an EDI 810, which is an invoice. One of the nice things about Trading Networks is that it has exceptional rules-based document processing. This means that Trading Networks can recognize inbound and outbound documents, identify who the sender and receiver partners are, and determine what processing rule should be performed upon that document. So think of Trading Networks document types as describing the business messages being exchanged between you and your trading partners, while processing rules define the actions Trading Networks should perform upon the receipt of those messages. And Trading Networks can support many types of document formats, such as XML and flat file. But in this tutorial, we're going to focus on EDI. As part of this tutorial, we're going to leverage the Web Methods EDI module, which provides out-of-the-box services and transformational tools that allow Web Methods to recognize, validate, transform, and map EDI documents. The module also contains built-in transaction sets for each of the versions of the supported EDI standards, such as ANSI X12, UN Edifact, VIX, and VDA. These transaction sets can be loaded as document types in TN. Now, are you ready to build an EDI document type together? Before we get started, we need to ensure that our integration server and My Web Methods server are up and running. To confirm this, open your Windows Services and scroll down to the Software AG services. The services for Integration Server and My Web Methods Server should show a status as started. If not, just right-click on them. Now we can launch a browser to access My Web Methods Server, also known as MWS. MWS is the web-based console that allows us to administer and monitor the Web Methods platform. I'm going to log in using the default username password of Administrator Manage. This brings us to the MWS welcome page, and on the left we have our navigation links. Since we want to create a new document type, this is considered an administrative type task. So let's expand Administration, Integration, B2B, Document Types Administration, and then Document Types. Here you'll see a list of all the document types currently defined in Trading Networks, many of which come preloaded when Trading Networks in the EDI module are installed. Now we can see from this list that the EDI 810 document type doesn't already exist. So we can add it by clicking on the Add Document Type button, and we can choose which type we want, XML, flat file, or EDI. We'll select EDI. And this will open up a separate window where we can select the standard, version, and transaction set for this document type. All the standards Web Methods support as part of the EDI module are shown in this drop-down list. So for our tutorial, we will select X12. Then based on the standard we selected, the appropriate versions are made available to us in the drop-down list. And for this, we will select 5010 as the version. And based on the version we selected, the various 5010 transaction sets are included in the drop-down list. And there are a lot of them. And for this tutorial, we will select 810, which is an invoice. And then we can select Create. This will open up the Document Type Details page. The name of the document type is already predefined for us based off of the standard, version, and transaction set we just selected. But we can give it a description if we like. Let's call it EDI 810 Invoice. And just below that is the status. By default, that status for the document type is enabled. And this means that at runtime, Trading Networks will use this document type when it receives a message and tries to recognize which document type it corresponds to in TN. And if we scroll down, we can see we have two tabs, Extract and Options. We'll look at Extract first. On the left, we'll see the EDI 810 transaction represented in a tree structure. The document begins with the ST segment and ends with the SE. and contains all of the mandatory and as well as optional segments in between. If we open up a segment, such as the BIG segment, which is up here, we can see all of the segment's elements, including the qualifiers. Qualifiers are represented by this tree node called code. Now, the Extract tab is important because it allows us to pick out various pieces of our EDI transaction and assign a business attribute to it. At runtime, web methods will recognize this EDI transaction and extract out attributes, which TN then includes as part of the transaction's metadata. In addition, these attributes can be monitored by other web methods components, such as Optimize. Here the attribute can be included as either a fact or a dimension in a KPI, a key performance indicator. Optimize continuously tracks and monitors KPIs, which allows you to better understand how your business and your partner interfaces are performing. Web methods can also do real-time alerting to let designated users know when KPIs are performing outside of established norms or thresholds. For example, maybe you have a rule which states that you want to be alerted whenever you receive an invoice greater than $1 million. The first step in getting this alert is to extract out the attribute called total invoice amount. This can be found in the TDS segment. If we open that up, the value will be contained in TDS01. Let's select the drop-down arrow to the right of the TDS01 element. It gives us a choice to either add attribute or replace. Since we're creating a new one, let's select Add Attribute. And then this opens up the Add Extracted Attribute panel. The first thing we want to do is to define the name of the attribute we want TN to populate when it extracts the value contained in TDS01. Here you'll see a long list of built-in attributes, but you can also create your own like I did with the invoice amount, which is down here. Next, we can select whether the attribute is required or not, meaning must it be populated. Since TDS01 is a required element as defined by the X12 standard, we know that the value will exist, so we can select required. And just below that we have transformation. If we want trading networks to perform any transformation on the attribute, we can enable that here. Transformation is optional, so you don't have to enter anything unless you so desire. There are built-in transformations, such as convert to uppercase or lowercase or string substitution. You can even write your own transformation service and have TN perform that at runtime. Simply select the Custom Radio button, and then you can browse to a service on IS that will do the transformation for you. Next, we'll select OK to save our attribute definition. And now we will see the newly created attribute here on the right pane. Next, let's take a look at the Options tab. So let's scroll back up and select the Options tab. And here we can decide the settings for this document type. First, we can decide if we want to enable processing rule routing for this document type at runtime. So enabled, TN will search for a processing rule to process this document. But if it's disabled, TN will not do the search for a processing rule. And this is commonly used when we want a business process kicked off upon the receipt of a message instead of a processing rule. And just below that we have validate structure. Now we can enable TN to validate the structure of the EDI document upon recognition of it at runtime. Validation can also be done later after a processing rule is selected, which invokes an IS service. The EDI module contains services that allow us to do EDI validation. And lastly, we can determine what document information is saved to the TN database at runtime. If we select the Save checkbox, we can decide which documents to save to the TN database. All documents or only unique documents. Yes, sometimes partners will send duplicate documents and you may not want them persisted to the database. And over here on the right, we can decide if we want to save the content, meaning the payload, attributes, meaning the extracted values, and the activity log, which is an audit of all the actions performed on a document once it's received. For this tutorial, we'll persist everything to the database. And now we're ready to save and close the document. Now you see that the EDI 810 document type is included in the document types list. And congratulations, we've just created an EDI document type together. Hopefully you saw how quick and easy it is to define your business documents that you can exchange with your trading partners. Thanks for watching.